Here we are today at the Wars Hotline, taking a look at two very important pieces of media that have had some rather significant influence throughout the course of their time. The first being today, H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, the original book itself, which had quite a history behind it, not only in terms of the actual literature, but indeed the radio performance that was done later that caused a great deal of, let's say, concern amongst the general public whenever it first came on. And the second being Hotline Miami, the revival that brought us back, retro wave, synth wave, vapor wave, whatever you might want to conceive it, but ultimately had an extraordinarily strong philosophical basis in the questioning of violence, the mentality of the people who engage in all sorts of fantasy or virtuality, and all other manner of topics, in addition to exhibiting some phenomenal mechanics. But who shall dwell in these worlds, if they be inhabited? Are we or they lords of the world? And how are all things made for man? Kepler, quoted in The Anatomy of Melancholy. Ooh, they be afraid of me. Now this is a very interesting means of tutorializing the first elements of a game, in addition to offering a incredible mood piece with all the flies offering an on-screen overlay and the enemies, which you will soon find to come as far more aggressive than presented here, cowering away against the walls in a mire of trash and viscera, we immediately get a sense of what is to come. The Eye of War. If ever there was a masterclass in establishing the atmosphere of a scenario, as well as familiarizing one with the extent of the setting, this is it. All of the minute details, all of the sensory and pathos, not to mention the ethos-oriented elements that are described here very thoroughly, offers a poetic edification of everything that is to come. And to start out with that poem in the beginning especially, it just goes to show the wonderful mind of H.G. Wells in this piece. I should also take note of the fact that we are, on top of being verbally assailed by our introducer, noting that he is breaking the fourth wall immediately to let us know that there is a certain amount of surreality, or at least psychologic elevation and abstraction taking place in, at minimum, this scene. The Falling Star, Chapter 2. Well, having established the sense and the scene, the setting, we finally have come to the rise, the crescendo, in a more definite sense compared to our last tome of Great Gatsby. With that, we are now rising up the ranks of intrigue and insight with a great sum of mystique and mystery, and soon, it hints very readily, we will take a look at all of the delights to be found about the matter. You look like you might be remembering something. So to make clear all of the points that we just interacted with, we have taken a conversation with a mule, a rooster, and an owl. All of these offer their own unique symbols as far as the connotations they wield, the mule often being a symbol of frankness or bluntness, the rooster in its classic title of the cock of pride or bluster, and an owl, wisdom or knowledge. Besides that, now we have been thrust into this apartment, rough as it might be, with the evidence of some sort of clandestine operation that we have just gotten the first pieces of. And so we now are tasked with nothing else in this area but to venture forth into whatever awaits us. On Horsell Common. Well now, something I should have mentioned in the second chapter was that in addition to getting everything put into place, laying the board forth, we're also getting all of the pieces together. The core characters, at least insofar as the psychological profile of the scenery itself, which provides a strong medium for us to anticipate the activities of the individuals at hand, calling upon archetypes which, to people at least of that time and running forward, we are able to immediately assume some of the core characteristics and mannerisms of the individuals in addition to what they are getting up to materially. In so doing, witnessing the scene assemble in a clockwork fashion. I love that we have cuck written on the seats. I never noticed that before. This is going to be a good time. And there we have it, Chapter 4. The Cylinder Opens was a excellent way of pacing out the inevitable incrementation of terror, the establishment of the fleshy apocalyptic circumstance that everyone in this area has now found themselves in, with absolutely no idea of exactly what the ramifications will be, not only for themselves but the rest of humanity. The applantment of rising intensity, the absolute suspense that everybody here, and by proxy the reader, is to experience. I love being able to take a nonce weapon and make out of it something that provides a unique experience. Something that I think ought to be employed more generally in every game where you have the versatility of what you take with you. Of all of the things that have been put down so far, I believe that chapter genuinely put into the forefront the common humanity that everybody had been experiencing in that moment. The dissolution of whatever kind of position or role they had previously within their regular lives, their normal status quos, and instead the solidarity of human beings in their raw was exemplified. Hereabouts, we see the imminence that the absolutely foreign and unabashed Martians pressed upon the environment about them with nary a moment of hesitation. The reflection of our own humanity as the apex of this planet, at least as far as our dominant technology enables us to have it, is dissolved, disintegrated, disassimilated, the frailty in the face of any countering intelligence, with so little as the execution of a handful of innocents. And now, after all of that ultra-violence, here we stand back at a little nowhere place to finish our objective, to put our briefcase in the dumpster, right next to a trash fire, of course, further indicating the decrepitude and dystopic air that all of this setting encompasses. In that, we feel the immediate decline fall away from all momentum, adrenaline rush that we were just about, and move into the consequences of our activities, like a raw nerve. Chapter 6. The Heat Ray in the Chobham Road. I should probably actually look that up, you know? I might have been pronouncing Chobham wrong when it was Cobham, and I'd rather get it out of the way first, if we have to go back.
I don't know. You're on your own, kid.
Okay, looks like I'm appropriate here, at least from what I'm able to see. And having thanked a Frenchman on the last book, I can now here thank an Englishman. So we can at least keep things balanced out of the Europeans. And to what I was saying earlier, in addition to the stark stolidity, the solemnity of the moment that we just wrapped up with, here we are now having our character kill somebody that has not even an ounce of relevance to the overall activity, and vomiting as a consequence. No evidence of any kind of external factors elsewise. It shows that there is a creeping consciousness, a creeping guilt upon our main character of Jacket. Chapter 7, I believe, puts into spotlight the absolute shock, the rubber banding that we see not only in real life, but excellently demonstrated thereof in fiction, of the absolute confidence, the return to form that such shock will bring about in a people, and puts it in direct adjacency to the nagging realization of inevitability that is the consideration of any one such who has experienced anything of the sort. The immediately rallying trauma that one might anticipate out of having an entire world turn over in the blink of an eye, flash of a pan, in this case very literally, to embolden and bring about the sudden surplusing of one's bulkhead against the world that is so epitomic of humanity, of humankind. After all of that, now here we are back at a little piece of civilization, a corner store with nothing that seems out of the ordinary, even somebody going about their own business, presumably either stocking or comparing items, with the individual at the counter being our contact, although that becomes only evident after we speak with him. It puts in stark juxtaposition the contrast between all of the business that we were just in the midst of, and finally coming back to some sense of normalcy, some sense of humanity humanity. And you can even see him there tapping his fingers impatiently as if this was completely normal to him. And then even for something as regular as the goods on the shelves to be intermingled with the dark business that we were just a part of. Chapter 8 really hammers home the narrative element of all of this, putting the not so uncommon verbiage and vocabulary as this book takes on as its character, and weaving it into a colorful and well-stitched tapestry that really injects the unrefined and unalloyed emotionality of the events from a top-level synoptic perspective into our very veins. It takes the essence of every part of the constructed moment, not so unlike one might do in the course of playing a tabletop game, and endeavors in us a genuine, flaring, semi-poetic, yet still approachable infiltration of the state of affairs. In addition to all of the various house stuffs that Jacket has, the bare mattress, the little game system, the clothes and sparse furniture spread across the apartment, we get a sense of looming anxiety, tension, discomfort that dwells within the uncanniness betwixt what a regular life contains within it and what our character is to attend to. There is much astonishment in Chapter 9 of the uproarious cacophony of warfare as it occurs, as it transpires. The rattling of sabers, the clapping of hooves, even in those olden days, though they seem so distant from us, and the terrible effort that must be expressed and brought up forthright in the heat of such a moment, where finally, no longer do we have the psychological suspense driving at our very core. Instead, rather, we have the absolute fleeting belch from the Martians to give us the exact reminder that these intellects from such a distance are no longer just a figment of human curiosity. Rather, instead, they are a genuine, real, and sincere threat. Something that can be plucked very easily for any kind of momentarily halted opponent that lie in wait for us. Something to be drawn off and reformulated as one might find it relevant within their own works. VHSs. Speaking my nostalgia, man, whatever happened to get us out of the realm of having places you could go communally play video games? What a lost opportunity. And here in Chapter 10 we have climax, peak, acuteness, all of the reinforcement, reaffirmation of the severity and significance of all of the consequences of everything beforehand, finally coming to crash in. Payment in full of all that had been building slowly and steadily, and in that yet still conversational narrative tone that allows one to carry the entirety of the experience within them, as one might a walking stick in the tread of their course along a path. Huh. It does not look like it's been recording the audio for this at all. That is a terrible thing there. Wow. Well, I guess it's fair that we restart anyway. That means I'll have to take a couple of seconds to get this running. I apologize. I didn't anticipate that we would have another issue with this. There was nothing playing earlier, so I just had assumed that was a matter of there not being any audio to record at the moment. But I see we're dealing with something else now. Literally, that's all it took. All I did is unclick and click the audio capture. Love technology. Another one to the blooper reels. Left mouse button to punch, space to finish. Do you understand me? Don't mess this up. Yeah, I think so. Book 11, I feel, perfectly encapsulates and circumscribes the reactions that a population, especially in the intimacy of the two, our man and the artilleryman, might think, do, would feel as their hearts throb in the face of a world that has not yet seen something like the nuclear bomb, in a place where even after the horrors that World War I had brought upon us, there is still yet a sense of innate security that lies about all peoples here and there, even those that might have been conquered or defeated, but especially those of the English. And from that, you might readily distill the capacity to appropriately confer the actual lurchings and terrors, hasty ponderings, and swift actions that one might take, especially with the notation of the mechanical movement, that would befit happening as this. Are you even listening? Well, get to it then! Bet. This is one of my favorite sections of this book. Hands down, Chapter 12 delivers the utmost of impact, the foremost of withering, intestinal description, retching, and obliviating conflagration and devastation befalling the poor people here, the absolute carnage that has been wrought by what seems like an uncaring and barbaric to us mere human beings, malevolence, malice that has rained from the skies down upon us. If you can't take a look at this, if you can't have a read of this and feel the ruin laid upon the participants, well, I don't know what to say to you. And furthermore, if ever there was a way to portray the heat, fire of conflict, especially completely one-sided, as the victim, well, look no further, in my opinion. In addition to what I had mentioned earlier about the representation of the animals themselves, there's also the colors that come with them. Blue, yellow, and red. These are often naturally associated with clarity of mind, courageous projection of power, and finally, furious rage. Inspector Gadget head ass. Come on, buddy. Over here. Have that. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. You know who I feel worst for amongst all this? These poor fish. I'll have no one to feed them. More secrets that you shall never know. All he cares about is his ciggy. Gotta respect it at a certain point. So in the house. Enjoy yourself, dude. You know, there are a lot of unanswered questions about Hotline Miami. But the one that stands out the most to me, does he actually get the movie? Because I don't see a single case anywhere for it. You know, of all of the stuff that I as a Russian mobster might get up to, it's definitely not leave a shotgun just hanging out in the middle of the floor. But who am I? Huh? What? Must have been the wind. Da is just a regular day. Friend has fallen in front, pooling in blood. Perhaps needs to go deal more coke. You're just gonna stand there? Awkward. Well, I'm glad we could come to a peaceful conclusion here. Do you like sweet or sour? Maybe you want a bitter. And there you go, sir. Enjoy. Where we at? Ah, there we are. Man, taking the time to, on top of all of the tile set work and the overall aesthetic, which took a great deal, I imagine, to accommodate, bothering with the animation for what is a less than a second interaction of receiving and picking up the drink. That's insane. I think our time is up, but we'll meet again. Before you go, here's 4 questions to ponder. Question number 1. Do you like hurting other people? Question number 2. Who are leaving messages on your answering machine? Question number 3. Where are you right now? And the final question. Why are we having this conversation? That's all for now. See you soon. So it was obviously made clear in that interaction, at least to me, that there is something of a dialogue happening, a dialectic within Jacket's mind, taking what seems to be contract labor with absolutely no understanding, at least of his own history, and how he came to be a shattered, fractioned, disintegrated psyche that is questioning itself for not only what it is doing, but also why it is doing it, and even where it is all happening. None the wiser. Shh. Oh. 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 Lucky. I'm here to tell you about your car's extended warranty. And that, kids, is why you don't play with electrical outlets. Can we do anything about that? No, I don't think so. Although this is an excellent moment to take note of the harsh reality of the spread of influence, all of these besooted Russian gangsters as we see it. A little bit of personality displayed in each of them with like cruelty, no matter the wanton, loathsome brutality that they are willing to express on anyone who gets in their way. And it all culminates and consummates within the heart of this setting. Don't worry about paying. You're my friend. Your money's no good here. Now, have a nice night. And in the simple course of that, poor man is dead. A demonstrative bookend to the dreadful reality I was just describing. What kind of a floor empties directly into a bathroom? Ceaseless. These are harsh times we're living in, I know. Haven't seen many customers lately. Maybe they've lost their taste for pizza. Maybe it's time to close shop once and for all. Anyway, got your order right here. Take care now. Oof. Even the pizza shop's having a hard time. Yeah, that's something that a stimulus package can't fix. Nobody immediately here to... No receptionist? No secretary? What kind of business is this place? Come on now. What kind of shabby little shithole are we working with? Well, I guess there's only one way to fix that. Ayo. Did what Neo couldn't. That's the same look I would have, honestly, seeing this. Them some weak rounds. I don't know about you, but I think even with a 9mm, which I imagine this looks like an MP5, silenced, I guess, but no silencer? I would probably be having a really bad day. I will watch this door for my orders to the very end. Privet. Hello. Hello to you. Aloo aloo. That one got him. Come on then. Pitch it. Pitch it so you can get hit. Yeah. There we go. This can't be happening. Caca carrot cake. So what do we have from the first and second chapters of Hotline Miami? Well, of course, there's the excellent, downright phenomenal, unique presentations, style, disposition that this game has, delivering in the context of a deep psychological, philosophic package. It does it well. Even now, here as we stand in the bloodied bathroom that represents the inner sanctum of our mind, a part of our apartment. It does so with breakneck pace, truly lethal flow, and above all, an exceptional presence. Much in the same fashion as I was just experiencing War of the Worlds, we have here an immaculately violent, potent form of an unassuming circumstance, leading then in its own time into a catastrophe of humanity. And like it or not, that's what these do well.